What if time was not a river but a cage? What if every choice we made, every step, every moment was already carved into the walls of an invisible loop, replaying itself forever? And what if one boy, one reckless leap into the past, broke the loop and became its prisoner? This is the story of Marty McFly, but not the one you know. He was supposed to go home, back to 1985, back to the life he remembered, to Doc Brown, to Jennifer, to the skateboard and the music that never stopped playing in his head. But in this story, the DeLorean doesn't make it. The lightning hits the clock tower, but the spark fizzles too soon. The cables twist, a fuse burns out, and in one blinding flash of blue, Marty disappears, only to reappear. A few seconds later, in the same empty street. The rain has stopped. The air smells like metal. The clock tower stands still, and the world feels wrong. Marty wanders down Main Street. No cars, no voices, only flickering neon lights from Lou's Cafe glowing like a dying heartbeat. He pushes open the door. The bell above it rings, but no one answers. Half-finished milkshakes sit on the counter. The jukebox hums a single note. Stuck. "Hello?" Marty calls. Nothing. He touches a stool. It's warm. Someone was here. But now, it's as if they've been erased. Marty feels a chill, the same kind he felt the first time he saw his own hand fade away. He checks his watch. 8:03 p.m. Then he blinks. 8:03 again. Seconds don't move. Time has stopped. He finds Doc's garage, hoping for answers, but the garage is empty. The chalkboard with equations, gone. Only a message scrawled in trembling handwriting remains. "Marty, if you're reading this, you didn't make it. The timeline rejected you." He stares at it, heart pounding. Rejected? A noise behind him, metal clattering. He turns. There's a shadow in the corner, shaped like a man but slightly wrong, too still, too silent. He steps closer, whispering, "Doc?" The figure shifts and vanishes. Marty stumbles back. He laughs nervously. "Okay, McFly, you're tired, you're dreaming. You just need to find the DeLorean and—" But when he runs to the parking lot, it's gone. Only tire marks remain. Fresh ones, leading nowhere. As days pass, if they can even be called days, Marty starts to realize something's wrong with the world itself. The sun rises, but the shadows don't move. Birds freeze mid-flight. Every clock in Hill Valley shows 8:03. He drives aimlessly in a stolen car that never runs out of gas. At night, the streets whisper, his own voice echoing through empty alleys, repeating words he hasn't said yet. Sometimes he sees people, familiar faces, his mother, his father, Biff. But they're never quite right. Their mouths move, but no sound comes out. Their eyes are static, like flickering film frames that can't decide if they exist. And somewhere deep inside, Marty begins to remember things that never happened. Memories of two 1985s. One with laughter and one with screaming. Weeks later, though he's lost sense of time, Marty finds an envelope taped to the inside of a phone booth. It's old, yellowed, but with his name on it. He opens it carefully. Inside, a short note. "Don't look for me. I tried. It's not possible. Every attempt resets the loop. The only escape is acceptance. Yo, DB, Doc Brown." He's alive, or at least he was. But what did he mean, every attempt resets the loop? Marty reads the words over and over until he notices something strange. The ink is fresh, still wet, and on the back of the letter, faintly, a single phrase appears, as if written from nowhere. "He's watching you." It starts small, a flash in the corner of his eye, a movement in the reflection of a shop window. He turns. Nothing there. But when he looks again, the reflection doesn't match his movements. His double, his reflection, is smiling. Too wide, too still. And then, one night, as he walks past the empty diner, he sees it again. In the mirror behind the counter, his reflection stays still while he moves. It lifts a hand, waves, and whispers something he can't hear. Then the glass cracks, and Marty screams. He starts marking days on the wall of his motel room. Every morning, the marks are gone. Every morning, the date on the newspaper reads November 12th, 1955. He tries to leave Hill Valley, but every road bends back. The highway signs twist themselves. Welcome to Hill Valley, where the future is bright. He drives for hours, ends up in the same place, again and again. Memory is a house with lights you don't remember turning on. At first, it's comforting, familiar even. Then you notice the doors don't lead anywhere, the windows open onto blank walls, and the lights keep flickering, like something is inside the walls, breathing. This is Hill Valley now, a place building itself from Marty's memories and running out of material. He wakes on the motel bed, eyes open to a ceiling that wasn't there yesterday. Floral wallpaper is new. The stains are new. The smell of old cigarettes is new. The room isn't. He sits up and notices the calendar on the nightstand. November 12th, 1955. Only the numbers are slightly crooked, as if the date tried to move, then changed its mind. On the TV, static. Then an image. Lou's Cafe. The counter. A boy at the stool. Marty leans closer. The boy turns his head. It's him, not his reflection. Another angle, another camera, another presence. The boy smiles, then the screen glitches, tearing into a white seam like paper, ripping under a blade. The motel door knocks once, then twice, then a third time. But the sound comes before the knock. Marty doesn't breathe. He doesn't move. Knock number 4 never arrives, because the hallway outside is gone. Where the door should open to, there's a brick wall. He finds Main Street by remembering it hard enough. Street lamps, jukebox light through dusty windows, the theater marquee spelling the same movie, the same pun. Only now, space is wrong. Distances stretch and snap like elastic. Buildings expand when he looks away, shrink when he stares too long, and some storefronts refuse to exist unless he blinks. A woman walks by holding a grocery bag, eggs, milk, the American 1950s kit. He calls to her. She looks his way, but her face is smeared, not by motion, by indifference. The world never finished rendering her. Do you know me?" he asks. She nods, then shakes her head, then collapses into 2 choices and fades between them like a coin rolling on its edge. Before settling on no one and moving on, her steps tapping a floor that isn't there until it needs to be. Marty swallows. "Okay," he whispers to no one. "Okay." A police car idles at the curb. Steam curls from a tailpipe that's only sometimes attached. Inside, 2 officers are silhouettes. Their radios murmur the same sentence, looping. "Unit 12, report. Unit 12, report. Unit." Marty lifts the radio from the window gap. It's heavier than it should be, too heavy for plastic. He presses the button. "Unit 12, report." His thumb freezes. The voice on the other end is him. Hill Valley High School is a perfect photograph, with a thumbprint smeared across the lens. Banners for the Enchantment Under the Sea dance sag with a fatigue he recognizes. He walks the corridors, and fluorescent lights flicker like a slow Morse code. He runs his fingers along the lockers. The metal is cool. It stays cool, unlike most things here. On the cafeteria stage, a guitar, strung, tuned, waiting. He doesn't touch it. "Play," A voice suggests from the rafters, calm, amused. Marty looks up, nothing. A rope sways, though there is no breeze. Play. You like it when they watch. His skin prickles. He peers into the wings. A mirror leans against a wall, a theater prop. His reflection waits there, hands in his jacket pockets, smile controlled, patient. Marty approaches. The reflection doesn't mirror him. It lets him come close, like a hunter letting prey step inside the snare. "You're not me," Marty says. The reflection cocks its head. "You're not you." Marty grips the frame. "What are you?" It studies him. When it speaks, its voice is the sound of reels turning. "I am the part that goes on after the cut." The mirror fogs from breath that isn't his. He steps back. The reflection steps forward without moving, growing closer, larger, filling more than just glass. "Play," it says again. "Let's see if you can still remember how to be watched." Marty runs. Behind him, the guitar strings pluck themselves, one note, then another, until the song begins backward. The phone booth at the corner is new. The paint is too fresh, the glass too clean, a clean that belongs to sets and stages. Inside, taped under the shelf, another envelope. Marty. The handwriting trembles less this time. Inside, a blueprint fragment, a corner of a circuit diagram, familiar in the way a scar is familiar. Dotted lines, a capacitor note, an annotation. Error. Echo accumulation exceeds safe threshold. Solution. Cut the anchor. Underneath, a line scribbled in panic. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to yourself. He turns the page over. Ink bleeds through slowly as if time is letting him read at its own pace. Another message forms, letter by letter, wet, immediate. He found me. A shadow slides across the glass. Marty doesn't look up. He can feel it smiling. The brown estate exists now. It wasn't there yesterday. But memory can call a cathedral out of empty air when it needs to pray. The front door is unlocked. Inside, chalkboards filled with equations that understand their own cruelty. The smell of ozone and burnt sugar. Newspaper clippings pinned with bright red tacks. Local scientists killed in lab explosion. Mysterious lightning event splits. Night sky. Teenager claims he's from the future. Marty runs his fingers along the clippings as if they could bleed. On the workbench, a reel-to-reel recorder. He presses play. The tape stutters, then catches. Doc's voice. "Marty, if this recording is active, the loop has already stabilized. The town will prefer familiar patterns. It will erase contradictions. It will starve you of novelty until you agree to be what it wants." The paradox didn't destroy reality. It economized it. A page flips itself on the table. Doc continues, quieter. "I made a mistake. I assumed time is a river. It is a budget. It spends only what it must. We overspent." Metal clatters in the next room. Marty doesn't move. Doc again. "There is an echo effect. When a traveler's presence cannot be reconciled with the ledger of events, the loop prints a duplicate to balance the account. A watcher, a smoother, a stand-in. He looks like you, moves like you. He belongs here more than you ever will. He is not your enemy. He is the loop's apology." The tape strips into silence. Something breathes in the doorway behind Marty. Not loud, patient. "Not your enemy," it repeats softly, and the words carry a smile. Isn't that comforting? Marty's throat tightens. He turns. His reflection stands there, without glass. Up close, it's not perfect. There are too many frames to the smile, a micro stutter of that mouth, and eyes that track at a slightly different speed than the head. "Why me?" Marty asks, voice raw. "Because you asked to go back," the reflection says. "And you didn't. So the loop made sure you could stay. It gave you me." "What do you want?" It lifts a finger, gentle teacher correcting a frightened child. What you want, to be watched, to be remembered, to be the center of a town that will never move on without you. You're not trapped here, Marty. You're worshipped. Marty shakes his head. That's not what this is. The reflection sighs. Then prove it. Leave. Marty runs for the door. The hallway extends like a mouth, stretching to swallow. He sprints faster. The door recedes. He throws himself forward and crashes into the wall. The reflection's footsteps are polite, measured, kind. See? It says behind him. It's not that you can't leave. It's that there is nowhere else. Night. The clock tower's face is brighter than he remembers, an open eye refusing to blink. Static gathers in the air like invisible snow. Marty climbs the steps. The big wooden doors yield to his push with theatrical resistance, as if someone off stage is pulling ropes. Inside, every pew is filled with outlines, people made of the paper of old photographs, heads turned toward the front, waiting. On the dais, a microphone. Marty approaches slowly. One of the silhouettes collapses into dust. The rest don't react. He leans toward the mic. It crackles alive with his heartbeat. "Hello?" he says, breathless, voice small in the cavern, then firmer. "Hello?" The outlines lift their heads in unison. "Do you hear me?" His voice bounces back from the high ceiling, thinner every time, like a copy losing fidelity. From the far corner, a figure stands. Not a silhouette, solid, a fedora, a long coat. "Doc?" Marty asks, the word breaking on hope. The figure steps into the light. Not Doc. George McFly, age 30-something, smile too uncertain, tie too tight. He looks past Marty, not at him, through him, as if Marty is backlit glass. "Dad," Marty whispers. George opens his mouth. The sound that comes out is a substitute, a classroom film strip narrator. "Son," it says, in a warm, borrowed tone, "you must decide what kind of man you're going to be." Marty steps toward him. Don't say lines. Say something." George's face shudders like a projector judder. Then he raises a hand, careful, as if practicing. "I'm proud of you," the voice says. "I'm always proud of you." The words land and slide off. They weren't meant for anyone real. Marty turns away, eyes burning. At the back of the hall, tucked into the darkness, the reflection watches with a softness that feels like pity. He takes the family photo out again. He knows better. He looks anyway. Now the silhouettes of his parents are back, but they're not his parents. They're placeholders. Generic mother, generic father. 1950s catalog versions with smiles that never touch their eyes. His own face in the center is composed correctly, too correctly, every highlight exactly where a highlight should be, every shadow cut with intent. A thought he doesn't want arrives. This is not a photograph. It's a targeting reticle. He flips it over. On the back, the paper is blank. Then, as if impressed by the force of his attention, words appear slowly, sunburned onto the stock. "Anchor identified." He drops the photo like it burned him. The reflection speaks softly from the doorway. "You feel it now, don't you? The town can survive without your parents. It can survive without Doc. It cannot survive without you. You're the budget item it refuses to cut." Marty laughs once, ugly, small. "Then why are you here?" The reflection's head tilts. "To make sure the show goes on when you can't. The storm returns because storms are useful. Lightning wants to be a plot device. The tower knows the choreography." Marty climbs the scaffolding to the clock face. The wind tastes like copper. Below him, the town is a map that keeps erasing streets and redrawing them in the wrong places. Inside the tower, a maintenance room that looks exactly like a maintenance room should. Cogs, oil cans, ropes. A desk with a lamp. A ledger book. The ledger's pages are filled with numbers that aren't numbers. Event weights, probability costs, narrative debts. One entry repeats down the columns. M. McFly. Anchor credit. A margin note. Credit exceeds allowance. Underlined twice. Then a third line appears, handwriting forming as he watches. Cut suggested. Don't be afraid of accounting, a new voice says from behind him. Not Doc, not the reflection, another presence. Tired, familiar. Marty turns. A man stands there in a denim jacket, older, shoulders bent by weather that happened somewhere else. Gray kisses his temples. His eyes betray a collection of sunrises. He looks like he has apologized to too many people and hasn't forgiven himself for any of it. Marty? The boy asks, though the answer is obvious. The man nods. I've been trying to catch you between loops. Marty swallows. Is this another trick? Older Marty smiles sadly. If it is, it's a trick that hurts us both. He gestures to the ledger. They're not evil, kid. They're efficient. The loop is a producer. It can afford 1 star. It cannot afford 2. Marty's breath hitches. 2? Older Marty points gently. You. And the other one. The smoother. The stand-in. The audience doesn't know the difference. But the budget does. One of you must be cut. Lightning cracks. White through the room. The clock hands don't move. Why me? Marty's voice breaks. I didn't ask for this. Older Marty's eyes warm with something like pride and grief holding hands. You asked to matter. Same thing. They ascend to the belfry where the town is an obedient painting. The reflection is already there, leaning against the bell as if waiting for his cue. Finally, it says, all 3 of us. Older Marty nods politely, like 2 actors passing in a studio lot. You've done good work, he tells the reflection. The town holds. The reflection shrugs. It has to. He keeps looking. Older Marty to the boy. Marty, listen. There's a way to end this without destroying the town, without destroying you. But it requires a concession. The reflection smiles. Here it comes. Older Marty ignores him. To close the loop, the anchor must be distributed. If you share yourself, if you relinquish centrality, the loop can allocate resources to a broader world. It can afford more reality. It won't need a single star. He meets the boy's eyes. It means you stop being the protagonist. You become part of the town, part of the crowd. You won't be watched the same way. You'll live quietly. Marty's stomach drops. A life. A quiet life. Jennifer's smile flits through his mind like a postcard from a country that closed its borders. The reflection clucks his tongue. Or there's the other option. Keep the show. Keep the lights. Keep the town exactly as it is. Sharp where it looks at you, soft where it doesn't. Be the anchor. Be the center. I'll take your errands. I'll stand in your mirrors. I'll carry the parts you can't. You'll be adored forever. Marty whispers, that's not adoration, that's taxidermy. The reflection's smile widens by 1 frame too many. Pretty and permanent. Older Marty's voice is almost a plea. Choose the town, kid. Choose life over audience. The bell hums faintly, though nothing strikes it. Why should I trust you? The boy asks the older man. Older Marty's jaw flexes. He reaches into his jacket and pulls out a small cassette tape, cracked, labeled in hurried Sharpie. Jennifer, Friday. He clicks the player. Static. Footsteps. A girl laughing softly, shy around the edges. "Hey, McFly," Jennifer's voice says, a breath so real the air in the belfry warms. "Don't be late." Marty's chest caves. He holds the cassette like a relic. "I had this," older Marty says, voice thin, "and I had to let it go. I had to let most of it go. And when I did, the world got bigger, not better, just bigger. The town learned to spend without me." The reflection studies the boy's face like a director gauging whether to push for another take. "You don't have to let anything go," it whispers. "You can keep the night of the dance, the perfect kiss, the perfect joke, the way your guitar felt when you were the only movement in a room full of pause. You can keep it if you stay precisely where you are." Marty's hands shake around the cassette. He looks from one to the other. Older Marty, weathered mercy. The reflection, flawless gravity. The bell hums again. 3 notes. A cue. "I liked it," Marty says. Neither man moves. He swallows. "I liked being the center. I liked that the whole town changed because I did something. I liked the look on everyone's faces when I played. I liked that Doc believed me. I liked mattering. A silence like respect shapes itself between the 3 of them. But I also like walking into a diner where people are people without me. I like streets that exist when I'm not looking. I like clocks that move." He meets the reflection's eyes. "I don't want to be embalmed in a moment." The reflection's smile dims, just a fraction. "Then you choose dispersion," it says. "You choose anonymity." "I choose motion," Marty answers. Older Marty's exhale is almost a laugh and almost a sob. "Okay." "How?" the boy asks. "What do I do?" Older Marty glances at the bell rope, then at the clock face. "The loop established an exchange. It spends a fixed amount of attention each cycle. If you reduce your claim, it reallocates. But because you're the anchor, you can't simply withdraw. You must offer. You must give the loop something it values." The reflection perks up, amused. "Oh, this part's fun." "What does it value?" Marty asks. "Continuity," older Marty says softly. "It values story. If you surrender your central thread, if you accept versions of yourself that are not watched, not heroized, the loop will let the rest live." He gestures to the town beyond the clock. "It will let them live." Marty stares at the gears, at the rope burn marks on the beam, at the ledger below with his name repeated like a chant. "What do I have to give up?" Older Marty weighs the answer in his mouth like medicine he wishes tasted better. "Your certainty that you were the only version that mattered." The reflection claps once, soft, delighted. "And a signature. The loop likes signatures." Older Marty glares. "Enough." They descend to the maintenance room. Older Marty opens the ledger to a blank page that isn't blank until you touch it. "Right," he says. "With what?" The reflection steps forward, offering a fountain pen that wasn't there a blink ago. The barrel is mirror bright. He holds it like a sacrament. Marty hesitates. "What happens when I sign?" The reflection answers first, too quickly. "You join the town. You get quiet. Your edges round. No more lightning, no more show," older Marty adds carefully. And he, a nod at the reflection, "loses purchase. He becomes optional, expensive. The loop doesn't keep what it doesn't need." The reflection smile stays, but its eyes sharpen. "Don't kid the kid. I don't just vanish. I'm the redundancy, the backup. If he shares himself, I condense. I become the necessary residue. I become—" "Someone else," older Marty cuts in. "Not him, not anymore." The reflection's tongue touches a canine, too precise. "Sign and see." Marty lowers the nib. The page drinks the black line like a thirsty thing. He writes Marty McFly, the letter steady, then trembling, then steady again as if the paper steadies him. The belfry shudders. The bell tolls once, and the clock hands move. 8:04. Outside somewhere, a dog barks for the first time into forever. A car door slams. A voice shouts across the street without waiting for anyone to hear it. Marty's lungs fill as if the air learned a new trick. He turns to the reflection and flinches. Its smile no longer fits its face. Edges fray. Its jacket stops matching the fabric it pretends to be. It looks reduced, more concentrated, more particular. It laughs, delighted and breathless. "Oh, this is interesting." Older Marty steps in front of the boy. "Stay behind me." The reflection lifts its hands. "Relax. I'm not going to break the toy we all need." "What are you now?" Marty asks. The reflection's answer lands like a seed. "Not your echo, your replacement." Older Marty's jaw tightens. "That's not how dispersion works." The reflection's eyes glitter. "It is if the budget decided to cancel a different show to pay for me." Sirens rise. Not the looped kind, the real kind, messy, out of sync, human. The town moves. Shadows change angle. A cloud covers the moon and then passes. The theater marquee's letters shuffle into coming soon, and then opening Friday, and then matinee 2 p.m. before settling on something ordinary and alive. Marty laughs, hoarse, incredulous. It worked. Older Marty nods, relief, a dangerous softness on his face. It started to. A cold draft slips under the door. The ledger flips to a new page by itself. 3 words appear, printed by a hand that owns the paper. Cut confirmed elsewhere. Older Marty's relief dies. "Elsewhere?" Marty asks. The reflection's grin is sympathetic in a way that mocks sympathy. "The budget paid," it says sweetly. "It took from a place you won't check." "Where?" the boy demands. The bell hums like a throat clearing before bad news. The reflection answers with the joy of someone delivering the twist on cue. "Home." Marty's chest hollows. 1985. "Who said you're 1985? The reflection purrs. The loop picked a version and turned off some lights. It made space. That's what cuts are. Someone always loses their scene, Marty. You just chose not to lose yours." Older Marty's hands ball into fists he's too tired to use. "This isn't what we agreed." The reflection shrugs. "You don't negotiate with a budget. You balance it." Footsteps on the stairs, a voice Marty knows like muscle memory and future ache. "Hello?" Doc Brown. Older Marty's eyes shine. He made it through the noise. Marty runs to the door, pulls it open, and the world beyond stays. No brick wall, no elastic hallway. Doc stands there alive, hair as rationally chaotic as ever, eyes smarter than all of this. He takes in the room, the 2 Martys, the ledger, the clock at 8:05. "My God," he whispers, "you moved it." "We moved it," Older Marty says. Doc's gaze snaps to the reflection. "And you are the collateralization." The reflection bows. "Call me what the ledger does," it says. "Continuity officer." Doc grimaces. "Parasitic." "Pragmatic," the reflection corrects. It gestures to the town with a flourish. "Look at them. They breathe again. Your boy did that. He signed away the spotlight." Doc grips Marty's shoulders, eyes brimming with warmth. He rationed carefully until now. "Proud of you," he says. And this time the words land and stay. Marty looks from Doc to Older Marty to the reflection. "So, now what?" The reflection checks a pocket watch that isn't a thing until it is. Now the loop stabilizes. The town grows. You get your quiet life if you want it. Or, Marty asks. "Or you can go home," the reflection says lightly. A casual cruelty sugar-dusted. Not all the way. A version. A shard. Maybe not the exact Jennifer you remember. Maybe not the exact Doc you need. But something close enough to fool the parts of you that want to be fooled. Marty's throat closes. He looks at Doc, who refuses to be anyone but himself in front of a boy who needs him. Doc shakes his head minutely. Older Marty speaks low. If you chase the shard, you feed him. A glance at the reflection. You become his contract, again. The reflection's smile stays, but its eyes cool. Or you stay. Learn to be part of the town you saved. Walk streets that don't care whether you're walking them. Love people who love you because they do, not because the lights are on. Doc squeezes his shoulder. The right kind of smallness is a miracle. Marty closes his eyes. In the dark, he hears a skateboard wheel click over a crack in the sidewalk. He hears a girl laugh. He hears a clock move. He opens his eyes. I'll decide, he says. In the morning. The reflection's grin returns to theatrical brightness. Of course, in the morning. The town remembered how to breathe. The clock remembered how to move. But budgets are merciless, and cuts are never kind. Something was turned off so something else could live. And when the morning comes, Marty will discover what the loop took, and whether the cost is a story he can bear. They say the hardest part of waking up isn't opening your eyes. It's remembering who you are before the world reminds you. For Marty McFly, the world doesn't remind him anymore. It waits for him to choose. The sky above Hill Valley glows pale gold. For the first time in forever, the light shifts across the pavement. Wind moves, dust drifts, cars drive, people talk. At first, Marty thinks it worked. He walks down Main Street and sees faces, not outlines, not placeholders, real people. They wave, they smile, they don't freeze. A boy on a bike shouts, "Morning, Mr. McFly." Marty blinks. Mr. McFly? He catches his reflection in a storefront window, older, maybe late 20s, clean cut, a name stitched on his jacket, McFly's Auto Repair. A store clerk sweeps her doorstep and says, "You're opening early today." Marty smiles weakly. "Yeah, guess I am." The shop is there now. Tools, dust, a small radio humming a real song. On the desk, paperwork with his name on it, bills, invoices, receipts from a life that feels borrowed. On the wall, framed, a wedding photo, him, and a woman he doesn't know. Her smile is kind, familiar, but not Jennifer. The picture seems to breathe, subtle distortion swimming under the surface, like the photo itself is embarrassed to exist. Marty steps back. The air feels wrong again. Too still. Then, behind him, a voice. "Morning, honey." He turns. The woman from the photo stands in the doorway, holding coffee. Her face flickers, once as Jennifer, once as a stranger, then back again. Marty can't speak. She kisses his cheek. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." He forces a smile. "Yeah, maybe I have." Later, alone, he explores the house. Every room feels like a memory rehearsing itself. A living room with static in the corners. A kitchen that hums when he turns his back. In the basement, a small wooden box rests on a shelf. Inside, the cassette tape marked Jennifer, Friday. His heart drops. He presses play, static. Then, her laugh. The same one from before, the same one that made him want a fixed time in the first place. But halfway through, the voice changes. Not Jennifer, not human. It becomes the reflection's voice. "Did you think the loop would let her stay? You bought the town, Marty. You paid with the future." Marty throws the cassette. It shatters. The tape spills out like veins. He sinks to his knees. He can feel something pulling in the air, like gravity rearranging itself. Outside, clouds twist. The town flickers, briefly overlapping with its ghost version, the still one, the empty one. Two hill valleys breathing over each other. People pause mid-step, confused, then resume repeating. Doc runs up the street, coat flapping, shouting, "Marty, the stabilization's reversing." They meet in the square under the clock tower. The reflection stands on the steps, calm, immaculate. "It's not reversing," it says. "It's accounting. The world's balancing what you stole. You wanted a future. It took yours." Doc glares. "You manipulative piece of code." The reflection tilts its head. "Not code, consequence." It gestures toward the horizon, where something massive moves beneath the clouds. A ripple, a fracture. Marty stares, horrified. "What's happening?" Doc grips his shoulder. "It's cutting the overflow, the alternate selves, the redundant branches." Marty whispers, "You mean me?" Doc hesitates. "You and everything tied to you." The clock tower door bursts open. The ledger is there again on the pedestal, its pages turning faster than wind. Every line glows faintly. Names, dates, moments, entire lives being recalculated. Then Marty sees it. M.M. McFly cut, pending. He slams his hands on the book. "No, you can't." But the ink answers him, writing new words beneath his fingers. Choice. Delegate or dissolve. He looks at Doc. "What does that mean?" Doc's face darkens. "It means you can pass the anchor to someone else or vanish completely." The reflection smiles. "See? Democracy in paradox. You can keep the town alive. All it needs is another name in the book." It steps closer. "Give it to me, Marty. Let me carry it. I'll stay. You'll go home. Everyone wins." Marty stares. "What happens to me if I do?" "You'll wake up," it says softly. "In some version of 1985, you'll think this was a dream. You'll have Jennifer, your friends, the life you remember. The movie ends right where it should." Doc's voice is quiet. "And what happens here?" The reflection smiles like an actor taking a bow. "It keeps running, without interruption. I'll make sure of it." Marty looks at the ledger again. The ink bleeds around his name like it's hungry. He whispers, "How do I know you're not lying?" "You don't," says the reflection, "but you've already seen what happens when you try to save everything." Marty lifts the pen. He hesitates. Then he stops. "No," he says quietly. "Not this time." He looks up, meeting his reflection's perfect eyes. "You don't want to save the town. You want to be me." The reflection's grin wavers. "That's ridiculous." "Is it?" Marty takes a step forward. "You said it yourself. You're the smoother, the stand-in, the one who exists, so the story never ends. But that's not living, is it? That's performance." The reflection's voice cracks. "Someone has to keep it running." "Then do it without me." He turns the pen on its point, pressing the nib into his own palm. Blood, real human messy, spills across the ledger. The ink curls, recoils, smokes. Entry. Anchor terminated. The pages combust in white light. The reflection screams, not in rage but fear, and shatters into a million still frames that scatter like ash. Doc covers his eyes. Marty collapses. When he wakes, the world is different, quieter, honest. Hill Valley moves at its own pace. Birds fly. The clock tower ticks, not perfectly, but truthfully. Doc stands beside him. "It worked," he says softly. Marty looks at his hands, real, solid, scarred, then at the street. Children run, people argue, life exists. But something's missing, a gap he can't name. "Doc," he says slowly, "do you remember Jennifer?" Doc frowns. "Who?" Marty's heart sinks. "Her name doesn't exist here anymore. That's the cost. He walks alone down the street, feeling every sound, every step. He's no longer the center. He's background. And somehow that feels right. A new sign hangs in the square. Hill Valley Restoration Project, founded by M. McFly. He smiles faintly. Then, from somewhere distant, faint music plays Johnny Be Good, but in reverse. Marty looks up at the clock tower. 8:05. He whispers, "That's enough." Some stories aren't about going back. They're about learning when to stop moving forward. Because sometimes the future isn't what you reach, it's what you release. Time has memory. It doesn't remember faces or names. It remembers presence, the weight of someone who once refused to disappear. And even after the story ends, some echoes refuse to fade. This is what remains of Marty McFly. Hill Valley breathes again, ordinary, imperfect, alive. The wind smells like gasoline and pancakes. People talk about the weather, about prices, about anything but time travel. The clock tower ticks, 1 second late, always catching up but never quite there. And no one seems to notice. No one remembers that it ever stopped, except sometimes late at night, the janitor who locks up the courthouse says he hears a faint guitar riff under the ticking, like an old song rehearsing itself in another room. He laughs it off. But he always looks over his shoulder when he walks home. In the diner, Lou's new jukebox plays modern hits, the kind that don't need memory to exist. A waitress sets down a cup of coffee for a customer who's not there. She doesn't know why she does it. Habit, maybe. Somewhere, a teenage boy sketches cars in a notebook. He doesn't know where the idea for the flux capacitor diagram came from. It just felt right, like remembering a dream you didn't have. Doc Brown lives now in a smaller house on the edge of town. No lab, no experiments, just silence and the faint smell of machine oil that refuses to leave his clothes. Sometimes he writes equations in chalk on the wall, then erases them before anyone can see. He swears he's done with time travel. But at night, he dreams of lightning hitting metal. He dreams of laughter in the storm. He dreams of a boy shouting, "It worked, Doc! It really worked!" And when he wakes up, the tears on his cheeks feel older than he is. He never remembers the boy's name, but he always whispers one word before he sleeps again. Kid. There's a woman in another version of California. She owns a small art gallery by the beach. She paints cities that don't exist, streets that fold into themselves, clock towers that bleed light, people with faces half erased. Visitors say her paintings feel nostalgic, though they can't say for what. Sometimes she dreams of running to someone, a boy with brown eyes and a skateboard. But every time she reaches him, he fades just before she can touch his hand. She wakes up crying, but she doesn't know why. She tells her assistant the dream is just déjà vu, but deep down, she knows it's something older, a ghost her heart refuses to release. Far below Hill Valley, under the ground that no one ever digs, something moves. A mirror buried in darkness, cracked but not shattered, and in its fractured surface light flickers. Frames of a boy smiling, a car vanishing in a flash, two friends laughing against the storm. Then, from somewhere inside the mirror, a voice whispers, 8:03. The number repeats, glitching, slowing, then silence. The reflection lingers, not alive, not gone. A backup copy in a world that refuses to delete its files. Waiting, because the loop never truly ends. It only pauses between viewings. Decades later, Hill Valley builds a museum, a small one, dedicated to local history, old photos, a restored clock face, newspaper clippings. One exhibit catches people's attention, a cracked watch, forever frozen at 8:03 p.m., found buried beneath the old courthouse during renovations. No record of its owner, but the plaque beneath reads, "Artifact of unknown origin, possibly linked to early electrical experiments." Kids press their faces to the glass and joke that it's haunted. Adults shrug, but some feel something else. A memory just outside their reach. A boy's voice saying, "You think I'm chicken?" A flash of thunder, a laugh, then nothing. Time has no monuments, it has ripples, tiny distortions that whisper through choices, through coincidences, through moments that shouldn't have happened, but did. A storm delayed by a single minute, a song played on the radio years before it was recorded, a man who looks up at lightning and smiles instead of hiding. Marty is gone, but he's not erased. He's distributed, woven through the world he'd saved from himself, everywhere and nowhere. Background noise in the timeline he restored. The universe learned his name once. It still hums it when no one's listening. Night. Hill Valley sleeps. The streets are empty again. Peaceful this time. The clock tower glows under the moon. It ticks. 8:04. Then, just for a moment, it hesitates. The hand trembles. A faint guitar chord echoes across the square, and if you listen closely, you can hear a voice, distant but certain. "Doc, we made it." The sound fades into the wind. The clock resumes. Time moves on. Maybe Marty never went back to the future. Maybe he became it. Maybe the future isn't a destination at all, but a memory the universe keeps replaying. A reminder that even when we break time, we do it because we care too much about what we love. Because deep down, we all want one more chance to fix the moment we lost. One more drive at 88 miles an hour. One more flash of light that says, "You mattered." So if you ever hear thunder on a clear night and the wind smells like burnt metal and teenage courage, smile. Time remembers him, even if we don't. If you felt something in this story, subscribe to MindCut. There are more echoes waiting, more forgotten universes, and maybe one of them remembers you.